Hello there. My name is Dr. Huw Lewis. I'm a lecturer at the Department of International Politics at Aberystwyth University, and the aim of this short video clip is to present or outline a session I will be running for Channel Talent on the theme of a United Kingdom question mark. So before I say a little more about the aims of the session and what you can expect from it, I thought I should start by just introducing myself and saying a bit about myself, my work and the department where I work. So as I said, my name is Huw and I'm a lecturer at the Department of International Politics at Aberystwyth University. Aberystwyth is a town on the west coast of Wales. The picture at the bottom of the screen gives you a shot of Aberystwyth if you're not familiar with it. As I say, it's a coastal town on the west coast of Wales, quite a small town, but at the same time an university town. There's a close link between the university and the town itself, and the university and student life in general is quite central to the life of the town. And I work in the university in Aberystwyth in the Department of International Politics, and our department is situated right in the middle of the university campus, just on the outskirts of the town, in the building you see in the picture just beside myself here. And we're lucky because we have quite a modern teaching building. A lot of the teaching takes place in the building where students learn in rooms quite close to where the staff are situated as well, which makes for quite a nice learning environment. In terms of my teaching and my research interests, they cover a broad range of areas, including devolution and regional government, UK politics today, but also themes such as nationalism and cultural diversity. And some of the main areas in which I teach focus mainly on the department's politics degree provision. For example, I'm responsible for coordinating the core first year module for politics students, politics in the 21st century. But more relevant to the theme of my session in this Channel Talent session is the optional Year 2 and Year 3 module that I run, UK Politics Today, which offers students a chance to examine in much more detail some of the themes that we examine in this session. And also in the department I have responsibility for teaching not just through the medium of English, but also through the medium of Welsh. The department is a leading provider in Wales for Welsh medium study in the area of politics and international relations. But let's turn to the session itself, which I said is entitled A United Kingdom. But United Kingdom with a question mark. And to start thinking about this theme, I want to introduce two quotes from an important book published 2 years ago now by the leading political scientist from Scotland, Michael Keating. The book entitled State and Nation in the United Kingdom, The Fractured Union. Now, Keating is a leading scholar in the fields of sub-state nationalism and territorial politics, and had studied tensions within developed states in many parts of the world. And this is his recent volume examining some of the tensions that have emerged in recent politics here in the UK. And I'll just read the quote to give some context to what I want us to discuss in the forthcoming session. So Keating, early in his book, tells us that since the late 20th century, challenges to the Union have become more frequent and powerful in Northern Ireland, Scotland, and to a lesser extent in Wales. He goes on to say, even in England, its place in the Union has come into question. And then he goes a little later on to say that the United Kingdom has not, at the time of writing, suffered a complete break, but the Union is subject to increasing stress. Now, this isn't a hot-headed open-ed piece in, let's say, The Times or The Guardian or even the Daily Mail. It's a considered view by, as I said, a leading scholar in the fields of sub-state nationalism and territorial politics. And it's quite striking because 20 years or 30 years ago, it would have been quite unthinkable, really, for such a leading scholar to make such bold pronouncements about the uncertain future of the United Kingdom. So why is that so? And what types of debates has emerged as a result of this? That's what really we want to try and consider in a bit more detail in the session I want to present. Now, why are we facing such uncertainty with regards to the future of the United Kingdom? Well, I'm sure that many of you can think off the top of your heads of many quite recent events that have claimed a lot of attention in news headlines, which in some way or another have served to undermine or grate at the strains that hold traditionally the UK together. If we just think back 20 years or so, we see the introduction of devolved government, the establishment of devolved or sub-state level governments in Wales and Scotland first, and then in Northern Ireland. That, in some ways, led to significant far-reaching changes in the way that the UK was governed. But following on from that, in the decades since, we've seen a rapidly increasingly unstable period, historically speaking, in the context of the UK. If we think firstly in terms of devolution and the sub-state governments, we see firstly in Scotland by 2007 the SNP, the Scottish Nationalist Party, forming a government for the first time and then becoming a majority government, which paves the way to the 2014 referendum on Scottish independence, which of course was lost, but was a significant event nonetheless. But then following that, we have the multifaceted impact of Brexit, which on the one hand, as we know very well, has led to politics at the centre in Westminster becoming highly unstable, exemplified by the fact that we've run through so many prime ministers since the 2016 referendum. We see them one after the other on the picture in the centre of the slide here. But Brexit not only has created instability at the centre, it has prompted and encouraged further reflection on the stability of the UK. It has brought the question of Scottish independence back onto the agenda, but also it has prompted significant questioning of Northern Ireland's continued relationship with the United Kingdom, not just in terms of issues around technicalities like the Northern Ireland Protocol as part of the Brexit withdrawal agreement, but in the way that coinciding with this, we've seen the increasing strengthening of Sinn Féin, not just in the north of Ireland, but also in the Republic of Ireland as well. So the question of Irish unity or reunification of Ireland is discussed in a more serious manner than it has been in the past. And even in Wales, we have seen the gradual increase in a more active independence movement, and we've seen public marches calling for independence over the past few years in Wales that have never been seen before. And indeed, recent polls have suggested that the support for independence in Wales by now is somewhere where it was in Scotland on the eve of the beginning of the referendum campaign back in 2014. So in many different ways we see the sort of plates underpinning the territorial politics of the UK shifting. Now, we could go after this question in many different ways, but what I want us to do in the forthcoming session is consider in more detail the different visions for the future of the UK that we see arising out of these debates about the future of the state. Now, sometimes this is termed as quite a simple choice between, do you want independence, do you want your particular area of the UK to break away, or do you want to maintain the UK as a union? But sometimes that oversimplifies the picture, because firstly, if you just take those politicians or campaigners that call for greater autonomy, let's say for Scotland or for Wales, or that even call for independence, those demands can vary sometimes. Some proponents of independence, for example, for Scotland, envisage a future where Scotland still remains quite significant ties to the rest of the UK, be it in financial terms, be it through links to the monarchy. while others foresee a future where Scotland has broken away in a much more significant sense. And even more interestingly, when we look at the visions for the future of the UK advocated by those that want to hold the state together, the different types of unionists, let's say, when we look at their different visions, be they the ideas advanced by different Conservative prime ministers or by the current Labour Party leader and potentially next Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, they all want to maintain the UK, but they have very different ideas about how they should go about doing that, even though that they agree on the fundamental idea that they want to maintain the UK. And even within single parties, so let's take the Labour Party, we see very different ideas. Keir Starmer, the UK Labour leader, tends to have quite different ideas about how we should maintain the UK and arrange an unified UK to those advanced by Mark Drakeford, the current First Minister of Wales, Labour First Minister of Wales. So what I want to do in this session is try and tease out the different visions for the future of the UK that range from independence through to a maintained unified UK, but with very different proposals about how that can be achieved. But also focusing in more detail on those politicians that argue for maintaining the UK. It's striking when we look at their arguments that they tend to advance very different types of arguments. Some will emphasize ideas around Britishness. Others will want to emphasize the economic benefits of maintaining the UK, while others will emphasize different types of social benefits. These are other elements that are worth teasing out and sometimes get lost when the debate about the future of the UK is sometimes oversimplified as a straightforward choice between the status quo or independence. Not all advocates of independence argue for the same thing, and indeed not all advocates for maintaining the UK advocate for the same type of thing. So I want us to explore this in much more detail in the session, and hopefully we'll have a chance to look at sections of speeches by some of the key proponents or players in the current debate. And through that, hopefully, we'll have a chance to reflect further on whether we should agree with Michael Keating's quote, which I started on earlier, whether the UK is really subject to increasing stress or not. We'll have a chance to evaluate that further. And by doing that, hopefully, by the end of the session, we'll have a chance to reflect on, well, where are we going? Where will the UK be in 20 years' time? We will have had a chance to evaluate different types of visions for the future of the UK, or the different units that make up the UK at the moment. Having evaluated those, where will the UK be in our different interpretations in 20 years' time? We'll have a chance to consider that by the end of the session. And hopefully doing this will give you a chance to reflect from a different perspective on some of the elements about current UK politics that you will have already learned about through your study of politics at sixth form. So I hope that this brief video has given you a broad outline of the type of themes that I'd like to cover in the session, which will be held on the 14th of June. A chance to reflect further on the debates, the ongoing live debates about the future of the UK, its sustainability as a union, and the different visions advanced for how that future could unfold. So please, if you're interested in joining us on the 13th of June, do register, and the session will take place between 3:45 and 4:30, so please do join us.